When I think of scientific discoveries, what usually comes to mind are precise measurements and cold, hard facts, futuristic, high-powered equipment. Chemistry uses math and formula overkill, and organic chemistry can make even the toughest person cry. This is all well and good, fine and dandy even, but what if I were to tell you that this backbone of modern science has its root in something less concrete, something more ethereal, magical, something called alchemy? See the similarities already? Alchemy, chemistry, Newton, the dude who theorized gravity, Isaac Newton, the guy with the apple and everything, Newton, had alchemical texts in his library and even wrote some alchemy books himself. Some call him the most famous alchemist. Alchemists started like forever ago in ancient Egypt, ancient Rome, and were the people responsible for the early versions of the periodic table. Probably can also blame them for why lead has a PB abbreviation for some reason, like forbidden peanut butter. One of the major goals of alchemists was to change lead into gold. While it sounds kind of crazy, more recently scientists have actually accomplished this goal. And so alchemy is alive and well, still today. I give this information to show that science and scientific discovery is still connected to instinct, legend, and belief. And that will be shown even further in my story today. Friedrich August Kekule, who I will now just call Kekule and try not to butcher the pronunciation too badly, was born in Darmstadt, Grand Duchy of Hesse in 1829. The Grand Duchy of Hesse was a state in the German Confederacy during this time. German Confederacy. Interesting. German history is more than just World War II and World War I. Some really interesting stuff happened before all of that. The German Confederacy is one of those things. Maybe I will cover it further in a future video. Who knows? But back to the story. Kekule was very well educated. He went to university in 1847, where he decided to study chemistry, going on to research in Paris and Switzerland and London, and then got his doctoral degree in 1852. So, a well-educated guy, smart guy. And he was responsible for some important scientific discoveries of the time, such as the theory of chemical structure and more, which helped bring about an explosion of further discoveries and progress in chemistry. How science works. Someone makes a breakthrough, and that allows others to piggyback off of that for even more scientific breakthroughs, and we all benefit from this leapfrogging. You might think that such a smart and talented guy who was responsible for such an important and scientific discoveries would be totally logical and methodical, kind of like a Spock with a beard and glasses or something like that. But au contraire, my friend, our unexplained event happened to Kekule somewhere around 1852. The chemistry whiz, Kekule, was hard at work to explain the compound benzene. Benzene is an important compound, and understanding its structure is vital for organic chemistry, with all the crying and all. Kekule had been grasping with the mystery of this compound, and while taking a moment to rest his eyes, he has a dream.
The same happened with the benzene theory. During my stay in Ghent in Belgium, I lived in elegant bachelor quarters on the main street. However, my workroom lay on a narrow side street and had no light during the day. For the chemist who spends the daytime hours in the laboratory, this was not a disadvantage. There I sat and wrote on my textbook, but it did not go well, my mind was on other things. I turned the chair towards the fireplace and sank into a half-sleep. Again, the atoms danced before my eyes. Smaller groups stayed modestly in the background this time. My mental eye, sharpened by repeated visions of a similar kind, now distinguished larger formations of various shapes. Long rows, often more densely packed, everything in motion, winding and turning like snakes. And behold, what was that? One of the snakes seized its own tail and mockingly whirled the structure before my eyes. Like a lightning bolt, I awoke. Again I spent the rest of the night working out the consequences of the hypothesis.
So our science sleuth Kekule dozes off and dreams about snakes. They twist and writhe, but in the mass of snakes he sees one that is biting its own tail. He wakes up from his dream or daydream and has a eureka moment, finally understanding the structure of benzene. Now, if I were a psychologist or someone who interprets the symbolism of dreams, I may have some ideas about what it means to dream about writhing snakes. However, there is also some other symbolism in this dream. The symbol of the Ouroboros, an ancient symbol across many cultures, of a snake biting its own tail. The meaning of it depends on the significance. It can represent the cycle of life, but it also has a meaning in alchemy. Alchemy again. Interesting. So let's talk about possible explanations of his dream. First one is that Kekule is being metaphorical. He is not being literal in his account of his dream. He is just using it as a way of illustrating an idea in his speech. This is possible, he says in the same speech that I quoted, that his discoveries did not come from just a sudden zap of understanding, but instead from building up knowledge over time. He also was a well-educated man in science. He had heard of alchemy and also likely knew that the Ouroboros was associated with alchemy. Because of this, perhaps he was using his daydream metaphorically in his speech as a way to illustrate the progress it had made over the centuries or something like that. Who knows? The problem with this theory is that he speaks about other visualizations he had when he was discovering other achievements. So the Ouroboros does not seem to be a theme trying to convey something in his speech. Now, another possible explanation is that he did have the dream, but that it was just a coincidence that the dream lined up with his eureka moment. Instead, he just needed a relaxing daydream in order to rest and come up with his scientific concepts after waking. So this explanation is that the dream is unrelated to the discovery, though Kekule seems to think that it was notable in his discovery. Otherwise, why even mention this dream? Now, another part of this explanation is that he did have the dream, and that the dream was a way of his psyche or subconscious mind communicating to him. Many believe that dreams are a way that the deepest parts of our mind communicates the innermost thoughts, the deepest part of our mind that we are unaware of while we are focused on the things directly happening in front of us, such as a scientist focusing on mathematical equations or reading research papers and trying to discover the structure of benzene. So this explanation is that Kekule's subconscious had already solved this scientific mystery and just needed him to doze off in order to communicate it to him after waking. This is a possible explanation. There are even well-known and well-regarded people who put forward this theory. Now, the final explanation for Kekule's dream is that he had this dream and it was actually a sudden vision, a supernatural or paranormal vision of the structure of benzene sent to him from across the universe or something. I don't know. I haven't really thought this one through all the way. But as I had said, the Ouroboros is an ancient symbol, and it has had importance across cultures and time. Perhaps the symbol has this importance because others have had similar visions, or perhaps its meaning itself is related to the supernatural or paranormal directly. Maybe even aliens. Who knows? Like I said, I haven't thought this one through that well. I'm just coming up with ideas. When you're speaking about magical visions. Anything is possible. Why limit yourself? So now I ask you, what do you think? What is the explanation of Kekule's dream? Let me know in the comments. I hope to make more videos like this in the future. I very much enjoy histories and mysteries. Be sure to like and subscribe. Later, my gators. Ta-ta.